Hello everyone and welcome to Long's Toys. I have another Doubutsu Sentai Zyuohger review for you today. This is Zyuohcube 10 DX Dodekaioh. Basically, this is the whale cube whale. He is number 10. He is the only kind of self-sufficient giant robo. So far, all the other robots we've gotten have been combinations of 3 or more. This guy is a giant robot all on his own. Very cool there. Very big box. Kind of can't fit it all in camera at the same time. Kind of can, almost can. But he looks very neat. I like his coloring. I like, he's kind of a Sentai brick in the feet area, but I still overall like his design. So trying to get a better look at the box here. Here is the top, which is a pretty cool picture of the whale and then Zyuoh whale. And on the bottom, not a whole lot going on there. On the sides, and I do apologize because this box is so huge it kind of hardly fits in my review station, but you have the Cube 10 in the cube form, then you have the whale form, you have the kind of, let's see what it says, Kaio Subia. So, Kaio Spear, seems to be what that says there. It's the kind of, it's the water spout in the whale mode. And then scrolling down a little bit, it shows you how to transform them into Dodekaioh there. Very neat. And then on the back, you can see combining all 10 cubes turns them into Wild Tosai Dodeka King, which is an awesome name. It says that he is 465 millimeters. So that's almost half a meter, which half a meter to us is about 1.5 feet tall. So he's pretty big. We'll take a look at him. He's definitely tall. I guess this is in scale with Zyuoh King down here. So he's about maybe 2 and a little bit Zyuoh Kings. A little bit taller than 2 Zyuoh Kings stacked on top. And that just kind of continues over here. It shows all 10 cubes. And then the 4 weapon cubes. And then you get this guy. You can also make a little squat version, which I'll take a look at. It's actually pretty adorable. And I'll show you how all that works. So, without further ado, let's get this box out of the way and take a closer look. Alright, so I'm going to do my best. Again, this guy's pretty huge, so I'll probably be moving the camera around a lot. But this is pretty much how it comes packaged in the box. And here are the other accessories. I just like to show you guys how to combine this stuff all together. This is going to form the helmet in the combined mode with all the other cubes. You can see there's 2 pegs here and here. They're going to peg into these holes right here. Very simple. I think this weapon is a lot of fun when you press the button. Like, press it in and release it. It works on both. I don't know, I just like that a lot. It's a weird little drill, but very cool. Put that off to the side. And then you get the 2 big cannons. And basically how these work, we'll come back up here. Spin them around. And you can see there's a clip and a clip here. So you're going to take, make sure I'm doing this right. Yes, like this. You're going to clip it onto here. And then that notch is going to go in there. So pop that on both sides. And then there you go. Now at this point, you've pretty much already got the robot mode, but I'm going to start back at the cube mode and show you how to get there. So the first thing you can do is turn this guy and lay him down like this. It'll be a little easier to work with. You can fold up the head, and while you're holding that in place, flip this part up, and that'll clip, and flip this part up, and that'll clip, and you see that these 2 things will hold the head down. Now at this point you're pretty much in whale form, but again, we'll keep going. You're going to disconnect here, and flip this around, and then that will clip in place. And then this is Zyuohcube 10. Now in my opinion this is really more of a Zyuoh rectangle, but I'm not going to split hairs. As you can see here, this will become the chest area for the combined mode. But this is pretty much it. This is the cube mode for Cube 10. And I think that's kind of cool, because before I saw the show, I didn't even think it was going to have a cube form. I kind of thought it would just be whale and robot, but they gave us something, so I appreciate that. Now, if you really want, you can flip this part down, and you can see it's pretty hollow inside there. Again, that's going to be for the transformation, but if you had like some little figures or something, I don't really have anything handy. I should have thought about this, but I mean, even just like Cube Bear, he could travel around in here if for some reason he wanted to ride inside. I mean, you could. It's definitely not in the show, at least so far, and I don't think it's going to be. But it's a little bit of extra playability. I mean, if you're, you or your kids or whoever's playing with this wants to store a couple little guys in there, or if you had, like, I don't know, Lego minifigures or something fun. Whatever your imagination can think of and what will ever physically fit inside there. But that does open up. So there you go. That is the cube. So we'll take a look at the transformation into whale. It's very simple. You're going to take this and you're going to insert it into this hole here. So insert it here, and I want to make sure that there's enough room to do this. I guess I could leave it like this and push it all the way down. I suggest putting your fingers here because I don't want to break the mechanism. And you can see when you push it all the way down, these clips here will release, and then they will swing around, and then you can just push it together. And then boom, you have your cube whale. Very simple, but I like the look of it. Again, if you wanted to open this up, you could pretend like he's eating something. But overall, I like it. I love the eyes on the side. I love the teeth on the side here. I think that looks great. I love the cannons. Tail's kind of simplistic. Just kind of a big cube section, but overall, I like it. And I love the spray coming out of the blowhole on top. I think that's a really clever way to integrate that weapon. It looks great. So there you have your cube whale. A lot of nice detail, nice paint. Overall, I think the color scheme is fun. We'll go ahead and get into the transformation into Dodekaioh. Real quick before I show the transformation into robot mode, I did forget to mention, see this button right here on the front? If you press that in, it makes this work. So I think that's kind of neat that they have a way for that to work in this mode. Very neat. But very easy to transform them. You're going to just stand them up. Very simple. Then you're going to turn this entire thing like a key 90 degrees to the right. So as you can see, that releases these two black clips here. These clip around, and you can move these up if you like, or leave them down however you like. You can pull this straight out of his stomach. Very simple. Then you're going to come up top here to the face and lift this straight up, and you can see that the face will clip in there. And I'll see if I can move this up so you can see the face. It's going to be really hard to do, but you can kind of see the eyes in there. It's hard to do because as the more you build this guy up, stuff is kind of sunk back in, and it's hard to get light in there, but I'll do the best I can. There are the eyes. I definitely like the face. I think that looks neat. The other thing you can do is you can see there's two clips right here. They're going to clip onto there, and that's how you can arm him with this weapon. Now, of course, you can hold it down like that. You can put the arm out. I don't know why. This is really satisfying. I think that's really neat. So I'm going to move the camera and try to get a better look at this. Alright, so here's a little bit better look, and I can try to get in a little bit closer to the face. That's a little bit better. Any chance that wants to focus? A little bit. Again, it's sunken back a little bit, so it's a little difficult, but got some gold eyes with a silver face. I like the design of that a lot. Overall, I like this mode. I really like the two guns on the back. I think it gives a little bit of definition to the otherwise large brick that he kind of turns out to be. I mean, his legs really are just the tail stood up, and then he's got this huge backpack on the back here. there's just not really anything you can do about that. But at least you have these guns to kind of give it a little bit of, I don't know, break it up a little. I don't really know what the best term to use is, but it gives it a little bit of character, a little bit of definition, and otherwise just kind of boring block. I also really love the gun on his arm. I think that looks really good. It's kind of a bummer to have a huge hole in his stomach, but it's necessary for the harpoon transformation gimmick. So, you know, you either like that or you don't, I guess. It's something you can live with or it's not. But I really like the design here on the front. I love the yellow eyes, the mouth here for the whale, all this. I assume this is like water or something down here, all this color and detail. Overall, I really like the color scheme. I think it's fun. And I think for a Sentai robot, you have to assume there's going to be some blockiness. Overall, I think it's fun. I really do like it a lot. But yeah, articulation is basically just the arms. There's really nothing else to it. But I like the design of it. I didn't really at first, but it's grown on me. But of course, we have one more combination that we can do. Well, actually, there's two. I'll go ahead and I'll show you the little shorty one first. It's kind of fun. So for this chibi transformation, you're going to need this part from Rhino, Cube 9, the spear, Cubes 1, 2, 3, and 6, and then Kirin and Mogra. So basically, I've returned him back to cube form because that's the easiest, and the transformation should start there. Very simply, well, first what I'll do, because I'm kind of low on space, you're going to take cube 1 and 2 and just kind of plug them together. Very simply like that. Actually, the directions have it this way. It really doesn't matter as far as I can tell. I mean, all the cubes transform, you know, and clip together in the same way. So the directions show you using these 4 cubes. I assume you could use any of the others. I mean, they all connect and clip in the same way. It's probably just because these kind of don't have goofy things on the front. I mean, you could use 4, whatever. This is what the directions show, but the cubes all clip together the same way. So putting them off to the side, you're going to take cube 10, flip up these red pieces that are part of the tail. Then you're going to turn them around, and right here, you're going to see this can rotate down. And then that's going to kind of be your chest, and these are your arms. Now under here, you can see there's clips. So you take these, and you clip them right under there. Very easy to do. And that kind of gives you your chibi little legs. You can come around to the back and pop open the section I showed you earlier. And the purpose of that is to slide in cube 9. Slips in very easily like that. And I'll move this to the back as far as I can. So you can see there you have the 9 and the 10. You're going to take this guy, fold him out like that. Come around to the side here, and you can see there's a clip. There's a clip and then a little tab. Exactly how these go. So that'll clip on right there. And then you're going to do the exact same thing with Mogra on the other side. And kind of bring that up just to get them out of the way. Now the next thing you can do is come to this piece and detach this, just like I showed you clipped on earlier, but obviously just pop it off. Now those 2 clips are up here, so this is going to become like a shoulder cannon. So there you go. The other thing you can do is out of this forearm, a little hand or a little head flips out of the side there, and then this just drops on top. Now again, like I said, it's hard to get light in there because it's very recessed and kind of dark. I'll see what I can do about maybe trying to find some light or something I can use. But this is your kind of chibi little Dodeca King. Or Wild Tosai Dodeca King. He just has little squat legs, very fat in the middle. Otherwise, most of this top section is exactly the same as the regular form. I think it's kind of hilarious, especially if you're kind of like you don't have a lot of shelf space to display him in his full mode. It's kind of neat that they just have this kind of little tiny mode. So I think that's pretty neat. But now I'll go ahead and I'll show you the main full combination. Okay, so from here, it's not a whole lot to add on to fill the final form. You can come around to the sides and you can see that there's kind of an empty cube space. And the other two cube weapons are just going to plug in there. So you're going to take Bat and plug him right in here. There we go. And he just kind of fills out, flushes out the arm on this side. Then you're going to come around to this side and do the same thing with Bear. I have to remember how these clip on. Basically, the exclamation point always goes towards the back. So that's going to finish out the arms with the cube weapons. The next thing you have to do is kind of restructure the legs. So what I'm going to do is just disconnect the cubes, and I'm going to take this piece and just put it off to the side for a moment. If I can do that without breaking it. So I'm going to bring in the cubes. And basically how the instructions have it is to just do them in order. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then do 8. Well, we'll count up from the bottom. 5, 6, 7, and 8. Now at this point, the two large pieces that were guns are going to feed in through the top. You can see that there are clips here, and they're going to peg into these two top ones. So you can just shish kebab them all the way down and peg them in like that. And that just kind of adds stability. So once that's all connected, you're going to take your top section with cube 10, and when you look underneath, you can see that there's kind of a inlet, like a standard shape, and that's to make sure you don't peg these in the wrong way. You can see how there's an angle there. I'll show it better on white. See how there's an angle? And that's just making sure you peg these in correctly. So you peg that in there. The connections are solid, but not so much that I would trust kind of holding it by that. But here he is in all of his glory. Wild Tosai Dodekai King. Now, I mean, he stands perfectly fine. He is ridiculously huge. His head kind of fell off there. Let me see if I can get some light in there so we can take a closer look at the face. Because like I said, it is recessed in there pretty good. So if I just kind of show some light in there, you can see it's a really nice gold face. It has red eyes, really dark red eyes. But it's sunk back in there so deep that it's kind of hard to see it, which is kind of a pain in the butt. But, I mean, this guy is absolutely massive. I didn't love the idea of the 4 cubes just kind of sitting on top of each other for legs at first when I first saw pictures. But I have to say it really has grown on me. I'm not exactly sure what it is. I don't know if it's the fact that you can see all the numbers or just the colors all together are a lot of fun, but I really do like it. So you have 1 through 8 there on the legs, and then 9 and 10 there in the chest area. Now let's see if I can spin him around without making him fall over. He does kind of have this big chunk on the back. I mean, it is what it is. There's not really much you can do about it. And if you look at the back of the legs, of course, you can see all the parts of the other robots just kind of hanging out there on the back, which I think looks kind of funny. But overall, I really do like the design of this guy. Now, the one problem with this combination, he does leave a lot of kibble left over. And that is kind of a bummer. And I've been looking around and I don't really see anywhere to kind of peg it all together. But I mean, you're left with this piece from Zyuohger. You're left, of course, with the giant trailer from Dodekaioh. You have the chest piece from Gorilla. You have the other kind of hand/head of Wild Tosai King. So you do, unfortunately, have a decent amount of kibble left over, which is kind of a bummer. But I do like the form that you're left with here. I really do like the look of it. It's definitely massive. I mean, here is a Combiner Wars smoke screen for reference. If you have any idea, it's about 5 inches, 5 to 6 inches tall. I'd say probably more like 5 inches. But he completely dwarfs him, like it's not even close. The other thing I wanted to show you guys, with the arms, these are kind of the only two weapons that make sense to extend out. You can kind of make something happen with Bat. If you pop him off and transform him, you can kind of make this work. And I mean, it kind of will hang off there and kind of resembles a sword. But then you kind of have the whole bat head just hanging on the side. I mean, I guess you always did, so that's not really an issue, but I don't know. I definitely think that the blaster of the giraffe looks better. Bear doesn't really work at all. There's really nothing you can do with Bear. I've kind of played with it. Connect back on there, please. Thank you. So, unfortunately, you know, that's not really anything else you can do with that. Let me put him back on there. Again, in this mode, it's pretty much the same articulation as the other robot mode, just the arms can move, the legs obviously completely stationary, head is stationary. But it's a neat combination. I mean, I understand it's difficult to come up with something to do with all 10 of these cubes. Honestly, I thought what they did with the 9-cube formation, I thought was pretty fantastic, because that's a really nice cohesive robot that uses all the pieces. And I don't think they were going to be able to pull that off with a giant 10th cube like this. So it is kind of a bummer that you have all this kibble left over, especially from Rhino. But I mean, what are you going to do? At this point, this is the best they could do. I'm sure if they would have thought of something else, they would have. But overall, I do like the look of this form. It's just massively huge, which is a lot of fun. I really do like the head sculpt when you can see it. It's just really dark, sunk back in there, but it's really cool. And I love the crown that you put on top. Reminds me very much of like G1 Galvatron. So I really like that a lot. I wish there was a little bit more you could do switching the weapons around so that you could kind of have access to all four. And I mean, technically you can, but these two will just kind of look absolutely ridiculous if you do. So it is what it is. But I overall like the look of this. I have to say, overall, I like Cube Whale. I think the combined form is probably my favorite. Dodekaioh is also pretty neat. But there's just something about Wild Tosai Dodeka King that maybe it's just the sheer size of it, or the fact that it uses all 10 cubes, or just the overall like super colorful nature of it. I really like it. I didn't at first, but it's really grown on me. Having it in hand has definitely made me have a deeper affection for it, and getting a chance to play around with it. I also really like the whale mode. It's very simple, but I just think they did a great job of integrating this like gimmick in the chest and having it look like water coming out of the blowhole in whale mode, and having it be a weapon in the other two modes. I mean, it does make it a little blockier than it probably needs to be, having the auto transformation gimmick, but I think it's fun. I mean, we've really only seen the auto transformation gimmick once before with Zyuohger, Cube Eagle, and I think it worked out well for that as well. I do like the cube form. It's really kind of more of a rectangle on this guy than a cube, but I'm glad that they were able to at least include some kind of cube form. Again, I think the whale is a lot of fun. I like Dodekaioh. I definitely like the look of the two guns on his back. I think that gives him some character. But I have to say that Wild Tosai Dodeka King is my favorite form to make with this guy. It's probably going to be hard to display it that way because it's just so massive, and I don't know if over time the legs would give out. He is kind of top heavy in that way, but it doesn't seem like they're going to give out, but I wonder if over time, I feel like just any kind of movement would knock him over, and I would be very wary and afraid of what would happen if he did kind of explode or was dropped or something like that. Another thing to be careful of, as you saw with the legs, yes, they do connect in the combined form of all 10 cubes, but I wouldn't pick it up by the top and let those legs dangle, because I think the combined weight of the 4 cubes would make that connection pop off, as you saw. The little chibi form with just 2 cubes for each leg is also kind of cute. It uses obviously less cubes, and it might be perfect for display purposes because you kind of get the look of Wild Tosai Dodeka King without having to take up as much space. And that also gives you some ability to maybe make some of the smaller robots if you want to display more than one robot altogether. So you have a lot of nice options there, which I appreciate. I definitely think there's a lot of playability to be had with this thing. Sure, it would have been nice to include some kind of lights or sounds or something like that, but none of the other releases we've had have had that, so I don't think there was any reason to expect that with this release. Sure, I would have taken it if they wanted to throw it in, but you do have the auto transform gimmick, so I think there's at least a little bit more than the normal releases, and this guy is definitely a large enough robot, I think, to be sold on his own. So let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Let me know what you think. Overall, I like the guy. So let me know what you think in the comments below. Please like and share this video and subscribe if you haven't already. I hope you've enjoyed this look at DX Dodekaioh from Doubutsu Sentai Zyuohger, and thanks for watching.